Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, something felt off, but I can't explain why? Maybe a friend swore they were totally fine, while every cell in your body whispered, they're not. Or you listened to someone's excuse and heard the words, but your gut quietly raised an eyebrow. Let's be honest, you've been lied to before. I have, too. Everyone has. And there's a part of you that really wants to crack the code. How do you spot a liar instantly? Now, before your mind imagines some magical superpower where you can stare into someone's eyes and download the truth like Wi-Fi, let me gently ruin that fantasy. There is no single twitch, no nose scratch, no cartoon lie detector that works on everyone, every time. People don't come with a lying light that blinks red. But here's where it gets interesting. While there's no single magic sign, there is a way your mind can learn to read patterns, to notice when words and reality quietly drift apart. It's less like being a human polygraph, and more like being a good musician. You learn to hear when the note is just a little bit off. So, let me show you how that works. First, let's challenge one of the biggest myths you've probably heard. Liars avoid eye contact. Psychology research has poked that myth full of more holes than a slice of Swiss cheese. In fact, many liars know that eye contact is supposed to signal honesty, so they overcompensate. They look straight at you, maybe a little too intensely, as if they're trying to staple their words into your brain. Meanwhile, some of the most honest, shy, or anxious people you'll ever meet can barely hold your gaze for 2 seconds. If you use eye contact as your main lie detector, you'll accuse a lot of innocent introverts and completely miss the practiced manipulators. So if eye contact doesn't give you the truth, what does? Here's the subtle shift. Stop obsessing over spotting a liar and start paying attention to spotting mismatches. Not just in them, also in you. What they say versus how they say it. Their story versus what you know. Their tone versus the situation. The feeling in your body versus the words in your ears. Lies create friction. Your job is to notice where that friction shows up. Imagine your friend texts, "I didn't see your message. Sorry." And you look up to see, read 3:02 p.m. right under your last text. That tiny read mark is the truth, bumping shoulders with their story. You don't need a psychology degree to feel the disconnect. Now take that same principle into real conversations. Picture this. You ask a coworker, "Hey, did you finish that report?" They instantly reply, Yeah, I'm almost done." But their voice has this little upward tilt like a question, and their shoulders rise a bit as if they're bracing for impact. They look away, then over-explain how it's basically done. "I just have to tweak a few little things. Nothing big, totally under control." Technically, they haven't said, "No, I didn't." But your brain picks up the mismatch between it. It's almost done, and the anxious body language, and the overselling. That's your internal rater quietly pinging. Psychologists call this leakage. The truth slipping out through tone, micro delays, and nervous little details while the words put on a suit and try to look presentable. Here's another example. Someone tells you a story about where they were last night. When people recall real memories, their stories often have messy detail. "We got there a bit after 8, I think. Or maybe closer to 8:30, because the sun was already going down. We had to wait for a table, and my friend kept complaining about the music." Real memories tend to be slightly imperfect, with natural pauses as the mind digs around in its mental filing cabinet. When someone fabricates, especially under pressure, you might hear something different. A super polished timeline. Very neat, very practiced, like a script. "I got there at exactly 8. I stayed until exactly 10. I ordered a burger and fries and left as soon as I finished." There's a crispness that can feel more like a rehearsed speech than a lived moment. That doesn't automatically prove they're lying. Some people are naturally precise, but what you're listening for is incongruity. Do they sound like themselves? Does this story match how they usually talk? Or does their whole style suddenly change, like somebody swapped the channel on them? The key is this. Don't hunt for universal signs. There aren't any. Hunt for changes. If someone usually speaks quickly, and on this one topic they slow way down, watch their words like they're walking on thin ice. If someone is normally expressive with their hands, and suddenly their arms lock to their sides, while they say, No, everything's fine, you don't have proof, but you do have a clue. Your mind is actually much better at this than you realize. It's constantly picking up patterns. How someone smiles when they're genuinely happy. How their voice softens when they care. how their eyes move when they're recalling versus inventing. Over time, you build a mental baseline for each person. When they depart from that baseline around a touchy subject, your internal radar lights up. The problem is, most of us were taught to ignore that radar. Maybe you grew up hearing, "Don't be so suspicious," or "Give people the benefit of the doubt," or "Stop being so sensitive." So you learned to override your intuition, to explain away that subtle discomfort. But sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a sensing device. That little twist in your stomach when someone tells you a too perfect story. That moment you think, "Wait, why did they just answer a question I didn't ask?" That's not you being paranoid. That's your brain noticing statistical anomalies in real time. Now, let's sprinkle in a bit of research. Studies show that most people are only slightly better than chance at spotting lies when they rely on isolated body language cues. Crossed arms, looking away, fidgeting on their own. They're basically useless. But accuracy improves when you pay attention to clusters of behavior. Changes in voice, timing, facial expression, and story consistency, all together, across moments. So the game isn't catch the one tell. The game is notice when the puzzle pieces stop fitting. Here's a powerful tool you can use that almost nobody talks about. Gently ask for the story again, from a different angle. If someone is telling the truth, they may add or forget small details, but the core structure stays the same. If they're lying, repetition is harder. Fabricated stories take more mental energy to keep straight. You might say, "Wait, so you left around 8. What happened right before you left?" Or, "Later. So, when you got there, who was already there?" You're not interrogating, you're just circling back. Lies struggle with circles. Truth tends to be stable, even if it's a little messy. At the same time, you need to be honest with yourself about your role. Your own fears and desires can fog up your radar. If you really want to believe someone, you'll ignore a mountain of red flags. If you really don't trust them, you might see lies in everything, even where they don't exist. The liar you most have to watch out for sometimes is the one in your own head, your narrative about who this person is and what they're really capable of. So when you're trying to spot deception, check in with yourself. Am I seeing patterns, or just confirming my fears? Am I noticing actual mismatches, or am I projecting past hurt onto this moment? This kind of self-honesty is quietly powerful. It keeps your intuition sharp instead of cynical. Let's reframe something that might feel like a weakness. Maybe you've been lied to, manipulated, gaslit. Maybe you've ignored your gut so many times that you don't fully trust it anymore. That history can actually become your strength. It means you've traveled through the territory of deceit. You've seen the patterns, even if you didn't have words for them. You know what it feels like when someone smiles with their mouth, but not their eyes. Instead of thinking, "I'm so naive, people always fool me," try, "I'm learning to listen to what my body knew before my mind was ready to admit it." Your past isn't proof that you're bad at spotting lies. It's evidence that you cared enough to give people chances. That's not weakness. That's compassion. Now you're just adding wisdom to it. So, how do you spot a liar instantly? Not by memorizing a checklist of tricks, but by doing 3 subtle things at once. You listen to their words. Is the story overly polished or strangely vague? Are they adding unnecessary details that feel like decoration rather than memory? You watch their alignment. Do their face, voice, and body move in the same emotional direction as their words? Or is something off, like a sad story told with a forced grin, or "I'm not mad" delivered through clenched teeth? And then, you listen to yourself. Do you feel grounded, or slightly dizzy, calm, or like you're being rushed past the part of the story that matters? Does something in you whisper, "Slow down, something doesn't quite fit here"? That quiet whisper is not the enemy. It's the beginning of discernment. The real goal isn't to become a paranoid human lie detector, suspicious of everyone. The real goal is to live with your eyes open and your heart intact. To be able to say, "I choose to trust you," not because you're blind, but because you've looked, you've listened, and you're willing to adjust if the evidence changes. As you go back into your daily life, your texts, your meetings, your awkward small talk in kitchens and hallways, start paying attention to mismatches. Notice when stories shift, when energy changes, when your body reacts before your brain finds the reason. You don't have to accuse anyone. You don't have to confront everyone. Just notice. With time, that noticing will sharpen. You'll catch the little cracks earlier. you'll save yourself some heartache. You'll also, interestingly, get better at recognizing honesty, those moments when someone's words and presence line up so fully that you feel safe, seen, and steady. If this exploration stirred something in you recognized your own experiences in these examples, stay curious. Keep learning how your mind and body read truth and lies. And if you want to keep diving into how people really work beneath the surface, you know what to do. Stick around, explore more, and let your curiosity pull up a chair. Because the more you understand lies, the more clearly you can live your own truth.